Ever wondered why you act the way you do? Or why that one friend always asks for favors? Well, get ready to dive into the fascinating world of psychology because today, we're exploring 5 surprising psychology facts that will change how you see yourself. We're talking mind-bending stuff here, people. These aren't just fun facts you whip out at parties, although let's be honest, knowing these will definitely up your conversation game. No, these facts will make you question everything you thought you knew about yourself and the people around you. So buckle up, grab your thinking caps, optional but encouraged, and get ready to unlock the secrets of the human mind. Okay, first up is something called the Ben Franklin effect. Sounds fancy, right? It's named after the OG American genius, Benjamin Franklin, who apparently used this trick to win over his rivals. The gist is this: asking someone for a favor can actually make them like you. I know, sounds counterintuitive. You'd think doing someone a favor would make like more, but think about it. When you do something nice for someone, you subconsciously justify it to yourself. You start thinking, well, I must like this person if I'm doing them a favor. It's like tricking your brain into liking someone. Sneaky, right? So next time you need to win someone over, maybe skip the grand gestures and just ask to borrow a pen. You might be surprised at the results. Ever met someone who's super confident but maybe not actually that good at what they do? You know the type. They walk into a room with their head held high, speaking with authority on topics they barely understand. It's almost as if their confidence is inversely proportional to their actual knowledge. Yeah, we've all been there. It's a common experience, whether in a professional setting, a social gathering, or even within our own families. These individuals can be charming and persuasive, making it easy to overlook their lack of expertise. Well, my friends, that's the Dunning-Kruger effect in action. Named after psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger, this cognitive bias explains why people with limited knowledge or competence in a domain often overestimate their own abilities. Basically, the less you know about something, the more likely you are to overestimate your abilities. This phenomenon occurs because a lack of knowledge not only prevents people from recognizing their mistakes but also robs them of the insight needed to gauge their own performance accurately. It's like that saying, "A little knowledge is a dangerous thing." This phrase has been around for centuries, warning us of the perils of superficial understanding. When we only know a little, we might think we know it all, leading to overconfidence and potentially disastrous decisions. Except in this case, it's more like, a little knowledge can make you think you're a genius. This misplaced confidence can lead to taking on tasks or making decisions without the necessary expertise, often resulting in failure or mistakes. The problem is, when you don't know what you don't know, you're more likely to be overconfident. This overconfidence can be dangerous, not just for the individual but for those around them who might be influenced by their misplaced assurance. On the flip side, true experts often underestimate their abilities. This is because the more you learn, the more you realize how much there is still to know. Experts are aware of the complexities and nuances of their field, which makes them more cautious and humble in their assessments. They know how much there is to know, so they're more likely to be humble. This humility is a hallmark of true expertise, as it reflects a deep understanding of the subject matter and an awareness of one's own limitations. So, next time you're feeling super confident, maybe take a step back and ask yourself, am I an expert, or am I just experiencing the Dunning-Kruger effect? It's a valuable question that can help us all stay grounded and open to learning. By recognizing the limits of our knowledge, we can avoid the pitfalls of overconfidence and continue to grow and improve in our understanding. Remember, true wisdom comes from acknowledging what we don't know and being willing to learn from others. So let's embrace humility and strive for continuous learning, rather than settling for the illusion of expertise. In the end, a little knowledge can indeed be a dangerous thing, but it can also be the starting point for a journey towards true understanding and mastery. Let's use our knowledge wisely and always be open to expanding our horizons. Chapter 3. The Pratfall Effect. Why it's okay to be a little clumsy sometimes. Alright, this next one is for all my fellow klutzes out there. It's called the Pratfall Effect, and it's actually good news for once. It turns out that making a small, harmless mistake can actually make you more likable. Think about it, have you ever seen someone trip and spill their coffee and felt a weird sense of connection with them? That's the pratfall effect. When we see someone make a mistake, It humanizes them. It reminds us that they're not perfect, just like the rest of us. Of course, this doesn't mean you should go around intentionally messing up, but if you do happen to have a clumsy moment, don't sweat it too much. It might actually work in your favor. Chapter 4. The Mere Exposure Effect. Why familiarity breeds fondness, most of the time. Ever notice how that song you hated at first starts to grow on you after you've heard it a few times? It's a strange phenomenon, isn't it? At first you might find the tune annoying or the lyrics grating, but as you hear it more and more, something changes. You start to tap your foot, hum along, and before you know it, you're adding it to your playlist. Or how that person you thought was just okay starts to seem more attractive the more you see them. Maybe it's a colleague at work or someone you see regularly at the gym. Initially, they might not have caught your eye, but over time, as you interact more, you start to notice their smile, their laugh, and suddenly they seem more appealing. That, my friends, is the mere exposure effect. This psychological phenomenon explains why repeated exposure to a stimulus increases our liking for it. It's a fascinating concept that has been studied extensively by psychologists. Basically, the more we're exposed to something, the more we tend to like it. This can apply to a wide range of things in our daily lives. Think about the places you frequent, the people you see regularly, and even the products you use. Familiarity can breed a sense of comfort and preference. This applies to everything from songs and faces to even abstract shapes. Studies have shown that people tend to prefer shapes and patterns they've seen before over new ones. It's as if our brains are wired to find comfort in the familiar. It's thought to be a survival mechanism. In the wild, unfamiliar things could be dangerous, so our ancestors had to be cautious. Over time, as they became more familiar with their surroundings, they could distinguish between what was safe and what wasn't. Our brains are wired to be cautious of new things, but as we become more familiar with something, we learn that it's not a threat. This reduces our anxiety and makes us more comfortable. Brain scans have shown that familiar stimuli activate different areas of the brain associated with positive emotions. So, if you're trying to win someone over, just keep showing up. Consistency and repeated interactions can make a big difference. Whether it's in a social setting, at work, or in any other context, being present and familiar can help build connections. Eventually, they might just start to like you. It's not about forcing a connection, but rather allowing familiarity to do its magic. Over time, as you become a regular part of someone's life, they may start to see you in a new light, appreciating your presence and the comfort it brings. Next we have the IKEA effect, why we love the things we build, even if they're a little wonky. And finally we come to the IKEA effect. This fascinating psychological phenomenon explains why we often develop a deep affection for the things we create ourselves, even if they aren't perfect. This one is near and dear to my heart because let's be real, who hasn't struggled to assemble an IKEA bookshelf at some point? The frustration of deciphering those cryptic instructions, the countless screws and bolts, and the inevitable moment of doubt when you wonder if you're even doing it right. The IKEA effect states that we tend to place a higher value on things that we've put effort into creating, even if they're not objectively that great. This phenomenon isn't just limited to furniture. It can apply to any DIY project, from baking a cake to knitting a scarf. Think about it. That wobbly bookshelf you built yourself? It might not be the sturdiest piece of furniture in your home, but it holds a special place in your heart. You probably love it more than any fancy store-bought bookshelf. Why is that? Because you invested your time, energy, and creativity into making it. It's a reflection of your effort and determination. Why? Because you put your blood, sweat, and maybe a few tears into building it. The process of creating something with your own hands, no matter how challenging, makes the end result feel more rewarding. It's a sense of accomplishment, and it makes us feel good. Completing a project, especially one that required effort and perseverance, gives us a boost of confidence and satisfaction. So next time you're feeling down, maybe try building something. Engaging in a hands-on activity can be a great way to lift your spirits and give you a sense of purpose. It doesn't have to be an IKEA bookshelf, although those are always a challenge. It could be anything that sparks your interest and allows you to express your creativity, just something that you can put your own personal touch on. Adding your unique flair to a project makes it even more special and meaningful. Reflecting on past projects can also bring a sense of nostalgia and pride. Each creation tells a story of your journey, the challenges you faced, and the triumphs you achieved. Sharing your creations with others can enhance the joy even further. When friends and family appreciate your work, it validates your effort and makes the experience even more fulfilling. So, embrace the IKEA effect. Dive into your next DIY project with enthusiasm and creativity. Remember, it's not just about the end result, but the journey and the effort you put into it. Enjoy the process, learn from the challenges, and take pride in your creations. After all, the things we build with our own hands, no matter how wonky, are often the ones we cherish the most. So go ahead, pick up those tools, and start building. You might just find that the journey is just as rewarding as the destination. So there you have it, folks. 5 mind-blowing psychology facts that will hopefully make you see yourself and the world around you a little differently. Remember, the human mind is a complex and fascinating thing. The more we learn about it, the better equipped we are to understand ourselves and others. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the depths of your own brain, give this video a big thumbs up. And if you want to explore more fascinating facts about human psychology and behavior, hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below which facts surprised you the most. Until next time, keep those minds curious.